MBS KFEL Denver, Monday, March 23rd, 1942, 7:15 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. Mountain West Time, and we're here with an analysis of propaganda by Siegfried Wagener. Good evening. The other day, a friend of mine showed me a list of about 20 rumors. She had jotted them down to do something about them among her friends and neighbors, and she asked my advice. I took one look at her list and said, tell the people where these rumors come from, because nearly every one of them originated from an Axis shortwave station in Berlin, Rome, or Tokyo. Checking the list of these rumors, every one of which you have heard in one form or another, I discovered that only two did not originate from the fertilized but feverish brains of Dr. Goebbels and his associates in Rome and Tokyo. So Rome was on the side of Germany. And the risen Roman Empire is on the side of Germany. And they've talked England into being part of it. Sorry, that was a deep thought. I've discovered that only two of the rumors did not originate in the fertilized but feverish brains of Dr. Goebbels and his associates in Rome and Tokyo. All of them I have given a well-deserved mauling in these broadcasts when I heard them first at the Mutual KFEL listening post, which was some time ago. None of them deserves repeating at this time, but this much should be said about rumors in general. I'll bet the best saddle horse on my ranch, and he doesn't walk like Dr. Goebbels either, that 9 out of 10 rumors you hear which discredit either our own or our ally war efforts are directly traceable to the enemy's shortwave propaganda. On that bet, I take all comers. Keep in mind whenever somebody tells you that, that, or the other thing is wrong with us or our allies, that horse has been my pal for years, but you shall have him if I lose my bet. Take the latest infiltration with that shoddiest of all shoddy Axis spielers, ha. With all the lies he has perpetrated in the past, he ought to be toothless by now. But through his guns, he mumbled, I quote, of course, leading men in England realized that General Wagener was a failure, unquote. If he was, why doesn't ha drink vodka in Moscow now? Coming around to America by some freak of circumstances, he was born here. He said, I quote, Americans want to know why so many of their men had to go to England. Americans want to know why they have so many losses, loss of men, loss of ships, and loss of markets. If Britain was in a position to help anybody, she might have helped Australia. In the midst of all this, we can hear Minister Finkelstein, he means the Russian ambassador Litvinov, moaning, who is going to help us? Unquote. Check what this destitute refugee from the British Justice said against most of the rumors you hear, and you will find that the essence of what you hear came straight from the horse's mouth. But Nazi propaganda perpetrated by intellectual blotters and devoid of all the intelligence which has fled Germany after Hitler bullied his way from Austria. But Nazi propaganda perpetrated by intellectual blotters and devoid of all of the intelligence which has fled Germany after Hitler bullied his way in from Austria makes one great mistake. It enables us through this sort of talk to label most of all defeatist rumors as definitely Nazi. So rumors today in America that say America can never win, we're going down. You know, some of them have lots of points to them, but they're probably started in the Nazi way of thinking to bring us all down, to bring in the one world new order that George Bush wanted so badly. Check what this destitute refugee from the British Justice said against most of the rumors you hear, and you will find that the essence of what you hear came straight from the horse's mouth, meaning Nazi propaganda. National Socialist Party, believing they're tied to the master race. Perpetrated by intellectual blotters and devoid of all the intelligence which has fled Germany after devoid of all the intelligence which has fled Germany. How many Germans that are geniuses left as soon as Hitler was in charge? And then when Stalin took over the East, how many genius Germans got out and came to America? Most of the genius Germans live in America. Because of Hitler bullied his way in from Austria. Makes one great mistake. It enables us through this sort of talk to label most all defeatist rumors as definitely Nazi. And what is more, it renders us the service to trace even rumors which may have originally sprung up in this country back to Berlin or Rome or Tokyo, as the case may be. Remember the bet I made? I am so sure of myself and of the files of the Mutual KFEL listening post simply because there is not a single thing said about this war and against the interest of the United Nations which cannot in one form or another be tracked down to those fall guys and fall ladies who Goebbels hired to address this country every night. So the Nazis hired radio personalities to work in America to destroy the morale of America. This means that they have given the most powerful weapon into the hands of American propaganda analysts, namely to be able to say about each and every one rumor, forget it, it's simply enemy propaganda. In that way, Axis propaganda defeats itself not only in the long run, but right now. It is too gabby. It keeps on talking when a fellow with a better noodle than a fortune bestowed upon the clud-footed doctor would remain silent. There is always a chance for the moocher at the bar to get a free drink if he doesn't tinkle his chicken feed too freely. But Dr. Goebbels doesn't know that. He is a moocher if there ever was one, but he is unfamiliar with the technique. If in the near future I should talk via shortwave to the German people in their own lingo, I shall make that point of departure. And I guarantee I shall have a lot of fun with the doctor and everybody else over there. Because in all that gab, gab, gab of Berlin radio, the fellow who tries to win the war by clicking his wooden heel, and them jingos of the rising sun who will someday fall down the stairs and never wake up to tell the tale, leave open entire broadsides for us to charge in with good, sound American horse sense. Last night I listened to the messages which the Berlin radio put out on the air for Germans in American concentration camps. For Germans in American concentration camps. It was the 48th transmission for German seamen, but there were also a mixed in some messages for the German people in Chicago, whose only experience with the sea goes by way of Lake Michigan. Their relatives in Germany, father, mother, sister, or wife, stepped up to the Nazi mic and read the letter that they had written in the office under the eyes of the Nazi censor. They're told what to say, is what he's saying. Now everybody, even at this distance, knows perfectly well that there is hardly a German family which doesn't mourn the loss of one of its male members. But what do you think of those loving relatives in Germany tried to pull over the eyes of their kin in this country? Well, I listened to the whole program. It lasted a solid half hour. But not one of the dozens of people who grabbed the Nazi mic ever mentioned the loss of a father, brother, son, or cousin. Everything in Germany was hunky-dory or okie-dokie, as our new Mexican cabin boy used to say. Everybody had plenty to eat, and all those loving souls over there were just concerned about was that the boys in our detention camps would retain their health. So everyone in Germany's fine, and all they're worried about is prisoners of war that America has. Imagine that. And just think about what our shortwave speakers could answer to that trip after those Germans get out from their Nazi studio and listen to the American radio in the dead of night with the blinds drawn and the huskiest member of the family standing by the door with a club. But before I finish tonight, I can't pass up those rising sons of geishas who are Brother Hirohito's very own. Words and names fail me while reporting their latest shortwave show, but I shall do my best. While the Moscow radio was playing Tchaikovsky's Sleeping Beauty, which I thought was rather significant, the Tokyo radio rehearsed the opium dream of the Imperial Japanese Propaganda Ministry. The setting was a bomb-proof underground compartments of the fortress island of Corridor, and the thing was called MacArthur's Last Stand. Really? We now take you underground. This is Corregidor Island. Corregidor. Corregidor Island. The Jap announced it in pidgin English. He then produced, by one of those Oriental miracles, I suppose, a group of American gunners, grousing and complaining that MacArthur took it on the lam. They all swore that they would tell on MacArthur when they got to Washington. So all the Japs are telling everybody that MacArthur ran away. The new commander, Wainwright, appealed, incidentally, one of MacArthur's best and most trusted friends, and wailed that he couldn't be concerned with the troubles of his men, but he didn't get away from the Tokyo mic without calling MacArthur, I quote, a dirty sneaking rat, unquote. The Jap dream vision of Commander Wainwright continued to use the same designation for everyone higher up, including our president, and he was assisted by the commander of the Dutch East Indies forces who did the same. Dirty sneaking rats, that is what Emperor Hirohito's sons of the geishas called all American generals, admirals, and government officials, including the President of the United States. And in the same breath, they talked up American isolationists as the only sober-headed people in our midst. Do you wonder that the words fail me to reply in kind? You can't talk back to a hysterical monkey screaming out of a tree. If you want to do anything about it, kill him with a slingshot. But as I said last Friday, they are so mad in Tokyo about MacArthur taking command and offensive initiative that they are getting groggy. They thought that they had it all in the bag. They had counted MacArthur out. And now he is at their throat. And now you will understand why I thought it rather significant that Moscow radio was playing Tchaikovsky's Sleeping Beauty. I happened to think of the Sleeping Beauty of a rousing good Red Army within the striking distance of Hirohito's red light district in Tokyo. And that is my analysis of propaganda for the president. The shortwave stations to which I have referred to were Berlin DJB, DJA, DXJ, Moscow RV15, Tokyo JLG-4. Good night. And that was March 23rd.